Avatar: The Last Airbender multiplayer game has been canceled. So I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I honestly didn't even know that this game was in development or that it was even a thing. I guess it was announced that this was gonna be happening last February, or not this last, but the February of this year. So this was before I even started doing the channel and everything like that. So I wasn't too much into the game news as far as that goes. But the fact that they have a multiplayer game that was in development, it's a bit unfortunate that this is the case because from what it sounded like, it was gonna be like a fighting type of game, which I personally think would have been really cool. But you know what I mean? It is what it is. I guess there's some shakeups going on with the company itself, which is that's on them kind of a thing. But the fact that something like this got canceled, I think is really unfortunate, just because we really haven't gotten any good like Avatar games or anything like that, as of late. Especially with that Avatar game that came out, I believe, last year that was just horrible. It looked like a PS2 game on like a modern game system, which was really sad considering that like Avatar: The Last Airbender is like one of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest shows of all time. So, the fact that this news broke, I think is extremely unfortunate, but you know what I mean? I'll give my thoughts as we go along and look into this article. So the upcoming Avatar: The Last Airbender multiplayer fighting game has been canceled. According to its publisher, Maxim Entertainment, while the project was not the only Avatar game in development, it's still a blow to fans of the franchise who've been looking forward to new content. And that's putting it lightly because like I said, we haven't really gotten any good Avatar games for a long time, especially on the newer systems. And then on top of that, with the fact that, this franchise, especially with the live action coming out and everything like that, you'd think that they'd kind of be on top of that type of thing as opposed to waiting, so that more than likely when the show was released, they'd at least have something to give the fans. So, Maxim Entertainment's first announced its Avatar fighting game in February of 2024. The publisher didn't reveal much about the title beyond that, but it was aiming for an early access release sometime in 2025, suggesting it was at least nearing a playable state in development. Now, just shy of 2025, Maxim has released the unfortunate news that the game will never reach that point. So it's a weird one, man. Because like I said, we haven't gotten anything good as far as Avatar games, and it's kind of interesting because when you really think about it, I feel like that shouldn't be too hard of a thing to make happen. Considering the fact that you could start the game off as Aang, which would be so cool. You'd be able to airbend, which is I feel like would be a really fun experience to have a game where you can actually do that type of stuff. And then of course, as you progress in the game, you'll get to learn the other elements. You'll start off airbending, you'll continue on and eventually get to waterbending. You'll meet Toph, which will be so cool, and then she'll teach Aang how to do earthbending. And then on top of that, once Zuko becomes part of the gang, then you'll get into firebending. And it seems like it'll be such a like a no-brainer for something like that to be such a fun concept. And then on top of that, you have the chance to actually have the gang be playable characters as well. So you can start off as Aang or have it so if you ever want to do it where you can either switch or have it where like certain missions you can be other characters. Like you can play as Katara, you can play as Toph, you can play as Zuko, or you can even play as like Sokka. Even though that he doesn't have any element himself, you can still use his character to be, you know what I mean, just kind of be the regular guy kind of a thing. And then on top of that, could you guys imagine if you guys would be able to play as like Katara when she goes through like her bloodbending episode? I feel like like that would be so fucking dope in my opinion. Or like if you got to have her and Zuko go after the fire raiders that ended up killing her mom, you know? Just things like that. I feel like it seems like it would be so simple to be able to actually make happen with the show into a video game, but at the same time, I don't know if it's necessarily just because of like a rights thing where people just don't, have the ability that would be able to make a game like that. And the people that do decide to do stuff like a multiplayer game instead, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and continue on. So the news of the cancellation comes from Maxim Entertainment's latest quarterings report, where the publisher listed three canned projects: Mudfest, Project Velo, and Avatar: The Last Airbender. Why the company decided to stop working on the title is unclear. It may not have enough positive feedback to suggest it would perform well, or development could have hit a few snags. Whatever the reasoning, Maxim apparently felt the need to use the resources it was pouring into the game elsewhere, so Avatar fans hoping for a fighting game will have to play as Zuko or Korra in Nickelodeon's All-Star Brawl or wait for another company to come out with one. And see, that's just extremely fucking unfortunate. You know what I mean? Because it's like, yeah, it'd be awesome to play as Zuko or Korra, more so Zuko. But to play it like in an all-star brawl game as opposed to being able to actually have a game itself in the Avatar world, it's like, come on, man. Like you guys know that's what the fans would prefer. So, other Avatar The Last Airbender games are still in development. While the cancellation of Avatar fighting game is disappointing, fans will still have something to look forward to. Saber Interactive's upcoming Avatar AAA RPG is still in progress. There's still no word on when that title will come out or what the gameplay will look like, but players can take solace in the fact that there's at least one Avatar The Last Airbender game in the pipeline for now. Saber has a strong track record too, so this release could be the breath of fresh air that the series needs after a handful of disappointments. And and then they just go into like the Avatar The Last Airbender Netflix show and everything like that. So this is like something that I think is just really unfortunate, especially this portion right here, because it says at least there's one Avatar The Last Airbender game in the pipeline for now. That's not necessarily true because the game that Saber Interactive is working on isn't an Avatar The Last Airbender game. It's an Avatar game technically, but you're not going to be playing as Avatar The Last Airbender where you're going to be playing as Aang, and you're not going to be able to have the opportunity to play as the gang because with the news that we're getting in that regard for that game is that it's going to be based off of an Avatar years before Aang. So it's going to be a new avatar. It's going to be a new band of characters that are going to be like supporting characters for that individual, whether it's a guy or a girl. So the fact that they're stating like, oh well, just hold on, and then you'll be able to get your avatar game. It's like not necessarily. Yes, we'll be able to get an avatar game where you're going to be able to play as an avatar that can master the four, that can use the four elements, but it's not going to be the character that we're hoping it would be. For me personally, I would very much prefer to get a AAA RPG where you can play as Aang. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's really just the direction that they decide to go in with all of this. I'm not sure if this game in itself, since it was in development, did kind of give them the decision to go in a different route as far as playing as a different avatar, or if they just decided that was something they wanted to do from the get-go. Either way, I think it's just really unfortunate that we don't get to play as these characters that we know and love, and then it'll just be a new band of characters that we can, I mean, hopefully they can make it well so that we will care about those individuals. But it's not going to be the same, in my opinion. So, those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Would you guys prefer to have an RPG AAA game where you actually get to play as Aang and the gang? Or are you guys okay with having a game where you play as a different avatar? So, let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.